Okay. Hi, Madeline.
Hi.
Yeah, and oh, I can't hear very well. Maybe my volume's turned down.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. We can go ahead and get started. And so we're going to be talking about you today, and I'm just going to ask you, is there anything specific that you're hoping to get out of our appointment today?
Um, no, I can't think of anything really specific, but maybe just at some point some guidance for some of the issues I'm having.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we start there? What are some of the issues or symptoms that you're experiencing?
Well, I would say that my biggest health complaint right now is that I get extreme irritability before my period, and it's usually like between 1 and 3 days of that, and it's almost unbearable irritability. And then
Okay.
the last two cycles I've had are extremely light. So that seems like an issue. Um, and I have a lot of mysterious physical pain that doesn't seem to make any sense. And it doesn't feel like it's joint pain, it feels like it's muscular. Like I get these horrible knots and like my muscles strain, and then all of a sudden it goes away.
Okay. And can you explain more about that? Do you mean like it will go away in a few minutes or
No, it'll be like really bad where I would say it's severe for a couple of days. And then usually what happens is I'll just wake up the next day and it's 100% gone.
okay.
And then it'll come back at a random time, like a few days later or later that day, just randomly. Like it's not after I did an exercise or anything, it just comes on and then it'll linger for between a day and I don't know, weeks. And then all of a sudden, one day, it's just not there.
Okay. And what parts of your body?
Mostly my right hip and thigh and hamstring. But every once in a while, it'll just be some other random body part. Like last week, all of a sudden, my left shoulder had pain and then it went away. And then just it just feels random. Like it could be my hand muscles. That happened recently where my hand felt strained and then the next day it was gone. And then it might be like a spot in my back or it might be my other leg, but it's mostly my right hip, thigh, and hamstring.
Okay. And how long has that been going on? For years or months? Or
Well, that right hip issue has been going on since about last June. But I have had symptoms similar to this for most of my life.
oh, okay.
But I would say in the past, sometimes it's been more like joint pain, like it felt like my joints or my bones were hurting. Now I don't really feel like I ever get joint pain.
Okay. And then anything else, any other symptoms that you're experiencing?
Yeah, sometimes I still get intestinal bloating, like in my lower belly. But I used to have that significantly worse, and it's so much better now, but it's still somewhat there.
Okay. And you said that you used to have it even worse. When was that?
About a year ago, it improved.
Okay, but then before that, like, have you had it your whole life or a year or,
Yeah, I've had it for my whole life, ever since I was a child.
okay, and how old are you?
32.
Okay. And then anything else that you're experiencing?
Yeah, my whole life I've struggled with waking up extremely early. Like today I woke up at 4. I don't always wake up that early, but it's pretty common. Oftentimes I wake up at 5 or 5:30, and it doesn't matter how late I go to sleep. I mean, I always go to sleep early, but those rare times, like if I go out to a wedding or something and I get home at midnight, I'll still wake up around 5 or 5:30 in the morning. And I wake up usually feeling like I'm not ready to get up, but meaning like I'm exhausted feeling, but I cannot lay in bed anymore. Like I just can't lay there any longer. So I just decide to finally get up, but it's not like I'm really energized and feel like it's the right time to wake up.
And then have you had that for how long?
Well, I've always been like that. I remember even when I was a really little girl, I would wake up way earlier than everybody. And I've just never had to use an alarm my entire life unless I have to go to the airport or something really early. But um it's my whole life I've been this way.
And then when you get up, and is that every day you get up early like that?
Yeah. Once in a while, like maybe once a month or less, I'll wake up at like 7, and that is really late for me. Like it's totally different, and I always feel so good when that happens and so refreshed. But it really is like once a month or less.
Okay.
Most days I wake up at 5:30 or earlier.
And then, so when you get up early like that, are you tired in the day?
Um, yeah, I usually start getting tired by like 8:30 a.m.
Okay. And then by 8:30 a.m. And then are you tired the whole day?
It depends. It depends. Every day is different. Some days I kind of just like push through it and I'm energized because I really enjoy my day and I like my life. Other days I really have to lay down and take a nap in the afternoon or I'm just not going to make it through. But almost every single day I'm just exhausted by like 8 p.m. and I just like I can't even function by that time and I am just like in wind down mode.
And then when do you usually go to bed?
Between 9 and 10 p.m.
Okay.
I do try. It's funny. I try and get myself to stay up sometimes until about 10 because if I go to bed at 9, I will definitely wake up before 5. So that's just like it doesn't work for me to try and go to bed really early because then I just keep waking up earlier.
Okay. And then if you do try to go to bed at 10, can you sleep any later or not?
Well, then I'll usually sleep till like 5:30 or possibly 5:45 or 6, something like that.
Okay.
So it's not a dramatic difference. It's just I can tell if I go to bed too early, then I just keep waking up earlier. But the
Okay.
good thing is that I actually sleep really well all night for the most part. There are random times like just I don't know, around the full moon or just random times where I have trouble sleeping in the night, but most nights I sleep totally solid from the moment I even like put my head down until I wake up early.
And then you don't get up at night?
Almost never. If I do, it's usually because the room is either too hot or I got thirsty or I have to pee. But that's usually I don't know, once or twice a month.
Okay. Now we just had a full moon, and so how do you sleep over that?
Bad. So yeah, the full moon was last night, and for the last 3 nights I've had bad sleep. Like today I woke up at 4 and I also woke up in the middle of the night and had trouble getting back to sleep. And it was just because I just felt restless and like I just couldn't fall asleep. And then the other 2 nights, similar. I didn't wake up nearly as early, but I had periods of time in the night where I was awake and it was hard to fall back asleep.
Okay. Okay. And then, so we've listed off a couple things here, about 4 things. Anything else that pops up for you that you're dealing with?
Um, no, I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna start to see about your stress levels around the times that these things started. So it sounds like um the mysterious physical pain and the muscular pain and the intestinal bloating and the waking up early, it sounds like those three things. Is that true that you had said that they started when you were a child?
Yeah. I guess I can't be sure about the sleeping in, but I remember being, I don't know, 5 and waking up extremely early many times. So I'm not sure if that was like started when I was a baby, but as long as I can remember, I've woken up early. All the other things like the bloating and the mysterious pains, I feel like that's been my whole life. So I guess yes is the answer.
Okay, so let's actually start back then around that time. Uh, do you know what was going on? Let's actually go back to your birth. So what do you know about your birth? Were you born by C-section or vaginal birth?
Vaginal,
Okay. And were you breastfed or bottle fed?
bottle fed.
Okay. And then anything that you know about your mother's pregnancy or anything around that you know of?
Well, I know that my mother was really stressed out during my pregnancy, just because her life was really stressful, not because of the pregnancy or because of me, but she just had a difficult time then.
Okay. Like what was she experiencing?
Well, I know that there was issues with my dad at the time, like I don't know exactly what the problem was, but their relationship was challenging. And then I know that she had a 4-year-old daughter, my sister, so that's just stressful just in itself, I would assume. And then I know she was also working a lot, and I don't know what the word is, but doing something to do with her job. Basically, she was just doing a lot of work and a lot of different things, and she was extremely busy and handling my dad's issues.
Mhm. And so are you what lineup are you in terms of a birth order?
I'm My sister is 4 years older, and then it's me, and that's it.
So there were 4 years apart in those births or pregnancies.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then in terms of any of your first memories, do you have any other, I don't know if you can remember when you were a baby or a toddler or a young child, anything that you can recall that was something that was stressful going on with you? Like, do you remember having these muscular or these joint pains or bloating in your lower belly?
Well, I don't
Oh,
remember this, but I've been told that one of the first things I ever said out loud was that my knees hurt. So I know I
okay.
was having knee pain as a child that was just learning to talk, whatever age that is. And then I know I had extreme digestive issues as a very young child, and I would have these events where I would wake up in the middle of the night and wake up my parents because my stomach and intestines hurt so bad I thought that I had to go to the hospital. And then after, I don't know how long, maybe a half hour, it would just go away, or maybe a couple of hours. Or sometimes I would be vomiting violently and then it would just completely resolve and I would be fine. So that happened a lot as I was growing up, and it lasted all the way through high school until I started to change my diet.
Okay. All right.
Also, I had growth hormone deficiency as a child. So I was extremely small and wasn't making growth hormone. And um I lost my train of thought. And I started taking growth hormone injections, I think when I was in 4th grade, until I reached the height that I'm at now, which is 5'1". And
Okay. So,
that was a couple of years.
so you had growth hormone deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you have that? Do you know?
Well, I have a lot of my own ideas, but of course nobody would ever answer that question for me or even talk about it. growing up, like none of the doctors or anybody, but I think it's because I had so much physical stress and gut issues and just I don't know that I had a lot of emotional stress. I definitely had some because there was a lot of problems with my dad, but I just clearly had pain in my body and I had extreme digestive problems. And I'm sure that that did some kind of cascading effect that caused me to stop producing growth hormone.
Okay.
Another
Oh,
sign that I know I had a lot of stress was that I got shingles when I was in 7th grade.
okay.
And that was actually an extremely emotionally stressful year for me with my dad. I remember that there was a lot of trauma going on then, but also I was like still having digestive problems, those types of stresses as well.
Okay. And then, so you had the growth hormone and you had the shingles, and then as you were getting just a little bit older, anything there, like things in middle school or junior high or high school, any stress type of things?
Well, I would say I had the same types of stress things the whole time, like issues with my dad and issues with my digestion and with physical pain. But I also was a pretty intense dancer, so I was that was stressful. Just going to dance class and being involved with all of that was stressful, but it was also really delightful and fun, so it wasn't anything really, really bad. But then by the time I got to high school, my health was so bad that I was fainting on a regular basis and I was spontaneously vomiting on a regular basis. And um, it was like really terrible and really affected my life. And I had to always be sitting out of things or skipping school or like running to the bathroom to throw up, or like the school would have to call 911 because I was passing out. And then I started learning about food sensitivities. And when I was 16 or 17, it took me a year, but finally I gave up gluten, dairy, and sugar. And then I stopped having the spontaneous vomiting and the fainting, but no other health improvements for about like, I don't know, 8 more years of work on my health.
Okay. Okay, so this sounds like you had quite a bit of stress.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've had a lot of stress. First off, before you were even born, if your mother was experiencing lots of stress, then that goes right into the baby.
Mhm.
So you're already experiencing that. And then you did skip breastfeeding, so you've got the bottle. That adds another stress on. And then it sounds like all of these joint problems and the growth hormone deficiency and the shingles and then the fainting and vomiting are a lot of stress for anybody to experience. And something that we want to talk about is that when you experience stressful situations, which it looks like you've had a lot of them in your young childhood, that leads to mineral dysregulation. So minerals like sodium and potassium, calcium and magnesium, they start to dysregulate. Sometimes they get too high or they get too low, but they're not regulated properly. And then when that happens, that leads to symptoms. And you're explaining that you have these symptoms, and so we can see that those can be caused by mineral dysregulation, which is caused by this stress.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yep. Okay, so that's something that what is that noise?
What noise?
I don't know. There's some odd noise that's happening on there, but that's okay.
Don't hear
Uh,
it.
yeah, that I don't know what that is. Um, okay, so one thing, it's important to know that you're not broken and that there are no actual diseases or medical diseases, that there's really only mineral dysregulation. And mineral dysregulation leads to symptoms. And so sometimes it's helpful to see the symptoms kind of like a Ferris wheel, you know, the big round circle, and then all of the seats. And the seats are the symptoms. So those could be your symptoms that you experience as this random muscle aches and pains, or in the past, you've had the random joint pains, the abdominal, bloating, and now you're experiencing extreme irritability around your period and extremely light periods and waking up early. All of these things are symptoms. So we can see that those could be like a Ferris wheel, the seats around the side. And, you know, commonly medical people like to treat these, each one separately. So kind of like, you know, you had growth hormone deficiency. So we're just going to treat the growth hormone deficiency by giving you growth hormone. And whether that's right or wrong, that's just how it's done in the medical arena. What we're working on doing is going to the center of that whole Ferris wheel and seeing that mineral dysregulation can end up spoking out and causing all of these different symptoms for people. And you might experience these symptoms, somebody else might experience different ones. And so we like to get actually at the root cause of what's happening there. And then knowing that stress is underlying the mineral dysregulation. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, good. Then we're just going to travel back just a little bit more to some of your stress. We're just going to kind of take a step back there again, because we got you up to about high school age, and then you said that you're 32 years old. So let's skip up to more recent. For you, how did the last 3 years go that the whole world has experienced? How was that for you? Was that a stressful experience, or how was it for you in your life?
Well, I would say it wasn't nearly as stressful for me as I can see it was for other people, but it's because I've taken a lot of advanced tactics to manage my stress. So I've been really proactive, and I've really switched my attitude in the last like 5 years. That's something I've really been working on. So there was clearly stressful times. Like, for example, I didn't wear a mask the whole time. And so there was multiple times where I would go to a store and have to get confronted about the masks, and then have to stand up for myself and just deal with this constant, really, really yucky confrontation. And while it would be happening, I would be sweating, and like my heart is racing, and I have to try and stay calm because I don't want to get arrested. So there was that. But I would say day to day, like when I'm at home or I'm in a safe place, like I'm at work or somewhere where that's not going on, I actually didn't feel extremely stressed. And I was able to manage my stress levels pretty well through all of that. But again, I had to do that consciously. It wasn't just my natural state. Like I had to do things like tapping, or like a major attitude adjustment if something was starting to come up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, great. So you do EFT tapping?
Yeah.
Okay, and you find that that helps you?
Yeah, I love tapping. It helps a lot.
Well, good for you, because that's going to be one of the key things. That's going to be probably the most important point, is to address the stress. So if you're already doing the EFT tapping, then you want to continue to do that. And the more that you can start to offload some of this emotional trauma and emotional stress, the better that the minerals can start to regulate, you know, along with doing some other things. But that's a big key, is to address the emotional trauma. So you're really on the right path with that.
Okay.
Okay, and then can I ask you also about, did you get the COVID vaccine?
No.
No. Okay, and then any other vaccines? Did you get childhood vaccines?
I had some in my childhood, but I don't know what age we stopped, but we just kind of stopped doing that. I think um for multiple reasons, partially because I refused a lot of things. Like I just wouldn't go to the doctor or I just wouldn't get shots because I hated that sort of thing. And then I think also that my mom just didn't really think that that was necessary and we just didn't really do that. Like it wasn't really a big topic until um recently I've become more like conscious that I don't want to get vaccines, but most of my life we just kind of didn't do it for more vague reasons. But I did
Okay,
have some growing up, but just not as
okay,
many as other people.
okay. Okay, and then now are you familiar with the RCP?
Yeah.
You are, okay. And then it sounds like you already do tapping. Are there any other things from the RCP that you're already doing?
Yeah, I've implemented some of the things. Like I have removed a lot of supplements I used to take, like vitamin D, vitamin C, magnesium citrate, zinc. Um, I'm forgetting which other ones, but I stopped taking a number of things, and then I've started taking cod liver oil and vitamin E and the adrenal cocktail, but I'm just barely taking that. I'm just kind of working my way into that one. And I've been eating organ meats for a while, but I sort of stopped. So I restarted eating organ meats again, like liver, raw, and other organs. And that's all I can think that I've implemented, but I've already also just done a lot of it. Like I haven't been eating any sort of bad fats for at least a decade, and I don't eat any sugar or processed foods.
Oh, wow, great. Let's just talk quickly about the adrenal cocktail. So you're taking just a little bit, you said?
Well, now I'm taking like almost a half a scoop in the morning.
Okay, and how does that work for you?
Well, I think it works fine. I'm going slowly because I've heard that people don't tolerate it well, and I haven't noticed any problems, but yeah, so I think it's fine.
Okay, well, then you might want to increase that. And not everybody has problems with it. And if you're not noticing that you're having any problems, you might want to increase that to 1 scoop.
Okay.
And then I would recommend if once you get up to 1 scoop, if you could work yourself slowly up to having it twice a day.
Okay. And should I put that in I also take ionic magnesium and ionic potassium. Should I put that in the same water as that or have that at separate times?
You can have that separate.
Okay.
It's not terrible if it's in there, but you might want to just have just the adrenal cocktail in your regular water and then have the other minerals in different water.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, you know what, it sounds like you're on the right track with this and you're addressing your stress and doing the EFT tapping and you've implemented these stops in the RCP and you're on your way with the adrenal cocktail and some of these other things. So you're on a really good path and you should congratulate yourself for that. And we'll meet again on this and take it to the next step next time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.